I want to do this video really fast. Well, I shouldn't say really fast. I don't think it's going to be a fast video, but I do think it'll be a valuable video. Now, if you're watching this and you weren't aware, back in the day, back in the past, when I was in college, I used to go to Penn State University. I used to run sort of this website. Some people call it a business. I made some money with it, but I wouldn't call it a business. It was not designed to make me money. It was honestly designed to help other college students because once upon a time I was in college. I got kicked out twice, actually, mainly due to financial reasons. And immediately I realized that the way life is post-college or outside of college is dramatically different than it is in college. So in college, you're living one lifestyle and you don't have to worry about certain things. Your biggest fears are your tests and just sort of stuff that in the real world doesn't matter that much. When you graduate, or in my case, when you have to forcibly not take classes, things are very different. Things change quickly. You have to worry about finance. You have to worry about your budget. You have to worry about making money. You have to worry about rent, all kinds of stuff. Health, buying food. Most of it revolves around money, but there's a lot of other things too that I sort of realized that college does not equip the average person with, or at least in my case, it didn't equip me well for it. So I assume that it didn't equip other people well. And based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard, it doesn't. And it continues to not do so. So back in the past, I made this website called College Conqueror. It was sort of designed to instruct students on how to be better in college, be better post-college, sort of know what to expect, and how to navigate, college and post-college. So there were three things in particular I wanted to share in this video, and I've shared it before on my Instagram in a shorter video, but I want to get a little bit more detailed, a little bit more in depth, and kind of talk more about these three things that I think if you're in college, if you're a student, if you're in high school even, going into college, I think these things are important. I think these things are vital. I think these things will save you a lot of time, a lot of stress, a lot of effort, a lot of money, and I think you'll be a lot better off in the long run by listening to these steps, by listening to these examples and sort of taking this advice. Now, for the record, I'm not going to say that I'm a super successful person, at least not at the time of shooting this video. But I will say that overall, based on what I've seen from other people, based on what I've heard from other people, I'm not terribly in a terrible position. I'm pretty happy for the most part. I'm usually not upset. I'm usually not very sad. I'm never depressed. I hear a lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are very unhappy, very sad with their lives. Financially speaking, I'm not rich, but I'm doing okay. It's been going upwards, which I think is great. It's good. It's great. Those are sort of the main things I think people probably care about in life. I always break it down to I call it the three pillars of the good life, which I've adopted from classical Greek philosophy: health, wealth, and relationships. I would say in pretty much all three categories, I'm doing decent. Not at the peak. There's always room for improvement, but I think I'm doing good. I'm satisfied. I'm happy for now. But I will say, from what I've heard from a lot of people, that is not the case. So I just kind of want to dive deep into what I think most college students should be taught, and what might be beneficial. So first of all, number one, don't focus on grades. And this is a weird one. This is like, probably if your parents are watching this with you, they're gonna get mad. They're gonna be very unhappy by me saying this. I don't think grades matter at all. Like, not even a little bit. Not by any stretch. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of people think, first of all, a lot of people, one, believe that grades equals intelligence. I have not found this to be true at all. Like, not even a little bit. I've met plenty of people who are extremely intelligent, extremely smart, extremely successful, that did not do great in school. They did not get good grades. Some of the main reasons, they just didn't care. That's one of the main things. They just didn't care. They didn't care enough. They're either doing other things that are productive, or they just didn't go to class, which of course, if you don't go to class, you're not gonna get a good grade. They just didn't care, so they got bad grades. And then I've seen people who got great grades, but then post-college, they didn't really do anything remarkable. They didn't do anything special. They didn't accomplish or achieve anything. And that's not to say that everyone that got good grades did not accomplish things. Obviously, that doesn't make sense. That's not true. But what I am saying is that the grades themselves don't necessarily equate to a successful productive, remarkable, marvelous life. Insert synonym here. So don't worry about the grades too much. If you get good grades, fair enough. If you want to get good grades because you don't want to get kicked out, obviously don't get kicked out of college. If you're in college, you need to have a certain GPA to stay in. But what I am saying is that I've seen so many kids when they were in college, they would stress out and they would just focus on studying and they would focus on getting that A, and they get like a B and they're depressed and they're unhappy. And it's like, at the end of the day, it really does not matter. Virtually no employers, at least that I know of, ever care about your grades. There are some corporations that might require a certain GPA. I would argue that even the companies that require a high GPA, if you are productive and if you can demonstrate skill, then the skill will overpower GPA every single time. When I did College Conqueror, I interviewed people who were in different hiring departments. I know people who are owners of companies. I know people who are managers. I know people who hire. None of them care at all about grades. None of them check. None of them care. They don't give a fuck. The only thing they care about is, can you make the company money? That is what every company is interested in. Can you make us money? That is what every employee is designed to do. That is their role. Can this employee make us money, or at the very least keep us from losing money? But really, you're hired to make the company money. That's all that matters. They don't care about your grades. You can have a 4.0 GPA, and if you can't make the company money, you're not going to get hired. Or if they think that you're not going to be productive in their company, you're not going to be hired. So, number one, don't worry about grades. It'll stress you out. It'll waste time. Again, I'm not saying I'm not saying just be lazy and not go to class. I'm not saying be super unproductive or you're getting Fs on everything. Me personally, there's a funny saying when we were in college. I had a buddy who would joke and he would say, C's and D's get degrees. And it's funny, but to some extent, I think there's some truth to that. I think, and again, it depends on your major. I'm not saying be sloppy and drop out, and I'm not saying be reckless. What I am saying is that if you can, don't focus so much on the grades. They most likely won't matter. Now, there are situations, for example, I think when I was in college, I tried to get into law school, and I think, if I recall correctly, for law school, you can't have below a certain GPA for most law schools, and they just won't let you in. Like, you have to have a certain LSAT score, and you have to also have a certain GPA. So if that is the case, and you do need a certain GPA, again, I would say don't focus heavily on the grades, but do enough where you get the minimum requirements. Don't do much more. I know that sounds so weird because the modern day education system they're so, what's a good word for it? They pound into your head, get good grades, get the A, get the 4.0, get the 4.0, get the high GPA. And it's like, at the end of the day, truly it does not matter. When you graduate, I guarantee no one will care about your GPA. I'm 28 years old at the time of recording this video. No one's ever asked me my GPA. No one, never. No company, no job I've ever worked for. Currently I do real estate. No one's ever asked my GPA ever. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. So neither should you. You're wasting time if you're focusing so much on that. When I was in college, I used to be the vice president of there was an organization called the Off-Campus Student Union, and I used to be vice president. And I remember one of my friends in the organization, she said that a friend of hers threw up during one of the finals because she was so stressed out from all of the work. She was so stressed out from studying so much to get this good grade in psychology that she physically vomited in class. That is absurd. There's no reason for that. First of all, you getting yourself sick is dumb. If you get sick and you have to go to the hospital, then the final does not matter because you can't take it anyway. So you might as well effectively get a 0. I mean, obviously they would probably still let you take it later on. But the point I'm making is that if you get so sick that you can't physically take the test, then what's the point of studying in the first place? It defeats the purpose, in my opinion. Don't get to that point. I'm sure if you got a C or B or even like a D plus or something, it probably wouldn't have prevented her from graduating. It probably wouldn't have prevented her from getting a degree. So at the end of the day, what difference does it make? Like, her getting a D and still graduating is the same as her getting an A and graduating. Sure, she can say that, oh, I got a higher GPA, but like I said earlier, the company cares more about what you bring to the table. They care about if you can produce income and revenue. They don't give a fuck about your GPA. So stop worrying about it. It's not important. It does not matter. So that's number one. Don't worry about grades that much. Number two, this one's huge. This one is massive. Network. To me, the only real benefit of going to college is to meet a lot of people and to get a lot of different perspectives and experiences. If I can go back in time and go to college, I would spend 95% of my time just meeting people. And I'm not talking about meeting people for the sake of fun. I'm not talking about meeting girls for the sake of sex and all kinds of just stupid stuff that doesn't really matter in the real world. I'm talking about meeting people with the intent for long-term connections that'll truly get you ahead in life. That is one mistake I wish I could go back and change and fix. Network, meet people. You never know who you're gonna meet, and if you meet the right person, they can take you way further than anything else that you do in college. There's a funny story, and obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know how true this story is, but apparently Mark Zuckerberg, I've heard similar stories actually a lot. Apparently Mark Zuckerberg he had the idea for Facebook, and a bunch of people just like made fun of him at one point. He had a shirt on backwards or something like that. I don't remember the full story, but there was one guy that was like cool to him. He was like, "Hey man, like your shirt's backwards," and everyone's like making fun of you. Like they're making fun of you because it's backwards. Just like flip it, you'll be good. And he flips it, and he's like, "Oh, this dude's cool. This is the one dude that actually didn't make fun of me and actually pointed out, you know, why everyone was roasting me, why everyone was, you know, being a dick." I think that guy, if I recall correctly, that guy was invited to work with Facebook, and he's now a billionaire. Now, just put that in perspective for a minute. Imagine you made fun of Mark Zuckerberg pre-Facebook. You making fun of this guy cost you $1 billion. If you could see ahead in time and see your future self and see the two different paths that you could have had in life, the one path where you did make fun of him and the one path where you didn't make fun of him, if you could see both and you found out, oh, if I don't make fun of this guy, I get $1 billion. If I make fun of him, I don't get $1 billion. Which one would you choose? If you're wise, I think you choose to not make fun of Mark Zuckerberg and potentially get $1 billion. And that's what this guy did. He helped them and he made $1 billion. Now, obviously, it's not that simple, but the point I'm trying to make is that he networked. He met Mark Zuckerberg. They formed a connection. It was a connection based on Mark Zuckerberg being probably a little bit weird and the guy not adding to I'll call it the animosity he probably got from other people, at least in this one circumstance. But it's a form of networking. He was cool. He was chill with them. Mark Zuckerberg liked him. He liked him enough to invite him to Facebook and work for Facebook. He became a billionaire. The people you know, I think, influence your life more than your GPA, more than your degree, more than the college you went to. Networking to me is vital. Literally all the people that I see that are truly successful, they all have massive, huge networks. So, and I think it's one of those things that no one really emphasizes how powerful that is. You go on YouTube, I know a lot of the stuff I see on YouTube is a lot of, I like looking at different millionaire videos and success videos and stuff like that. All those people know each other. Like, it blows my mind. I'll see like a video of some guy I'm watching. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know this one influencer. He lives like down the street." It's like, well, you know, the guy. Even like, think about musicians. Musicians to me are some of the most fascinating individuals when it comes to business and marketing. All of the best musicians always do collabs. That's network. You see Post Malone, for example. Post Malone's blowing up. Post Malone, it's always like this video featuring Post Malone, this video featuring Post Malone, Post Malone featuring Halsey, Post Malone featuring Ozzy Osbourne, Post Malone featuring whoever, the Migos, I don't know, I'm making stuff up. But you see Post Malone featuring and stuff. You see other people featuring Post Malone. You see all these musicians collaborating. The collaboration is what makes them successful. Collaboration is networking. They're just networking. That is what it comes down to. Again, the grades, they don't matter. I think the networking part of it matters way more. If I can go back in time, if I can go back to college, I would have spent way more time just trying to meet people and form like truly deep, meaningful connections. Like really just asking questions, really asking them about themselves, really not spending so much time just trying to drink and get party and, you know, get lit and all that stuff like that. Really just trying to form a deep connection. So that way, post-college, we were still in contact. And I'm trying to be honest, I'm trying to rekindle some old relationships from college. Not necessarily for the sole purpose of, you know, financial gain or anything. Some people I think were just cool and we sort of lost touch. A lot of people were cool and we lost touch. But in general, it doesn't hurt to maintain contact with people that you knew in college. There's a really cool podcast host, this guy named Jordan Harbinger. He has a saying, you want to dig the well before you're thirsty. You want to form the relationships before you truly need them. And that's not to say that you should view every relationship as a means to an end, as a means to currency, or as a means of access. But I do think there's some good insight in just maintaining relationships before you truly need them. And that kind of loops back into the whole grades thing. I think statistically, about 75% of people find their long-term career through network, not through GPA, not through resume, through network. Kind of with the Mark Zuckerberg example. That guy's a billionaire. I don't think he needed to send in an application to Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think he needed a resume. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg cared what his grades were. I don't even know if Mark Zuckerberg cared that much about his competence as far as, IT or coding or technology or anything like that. He probably just liked him and he was like, hey, you seem cool. You seem like you're smart enough to help me with Facebook. Let's do it. And suddenly this guy's a billionaire. Network. Again, he knew Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg let him in. I'm sure there are plenty of situations you can think of in your own life where you probably gain access into some place where you knew somebody. This is funny, I know I say partying isn't that important, but this one's kind of party related. One time when I think I had just graduated college, and my friend came up to visit. And there was this one bar I wanted to take him to. Really cool bar. For those of you that went to Penn State, it's called the Gaff. If you went to Penn State, you'll certainly know what bar that is. I wanted to take him to the Gaff. The only problem was that when I graduated, for whatever reason that night when he was up there, the entire Gaff was full. Everyone wanted to go. So the line is all the way down the street. And for those of you that went to Penn State, you can be in that line for like 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. It just depends on how busy it is, depends on how crowded it is, depends on how many people they want to let in. You can be there all night and actually not get in. So I was like, oh, fuck. I want to let him in the bar. This is his only night here. He came to visit me for my graduation, but I can't get in. Like, I don't want to wait all night. So I guess we can settle for a different bar so we at least have some fun. And one of my buddies that I knew, I used to work with him. He was at the front of the line, and he was like, "Lenny, is that you?" Keep in mind, I have not seen this guy in like a year prior. It's been a whole year since I've seen this guy. It's a guy named Derek, actually. If he sees this, what's up, Derek? He was like, "Lenny, is that you?" I was like, "Derek, is that you, man?" He's like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" He tells me to come to the front. I'm hanging out with him, talking. Slowly as I'm talking, I'm sort of sneaking into the front of the line, and which was the whole point. And I get my buddy to kind of come, pretend like he knows this guy Derek, and we all kind of sneak in together. So I saved myself hours, if not, we could have just not gone in because the line was so long. So we skipped the line basically because I knew somebody. Networking. I'm going back to it. That's networking. You know people, you get access to situations. You get access to just beneficial scenarios. So number 2, if you're in college, one thing I would go back and change, I would network a lot harder. If you're in college, or if you're going into college, focus on maintaining and building strong connections. Focus on networking. Meet people with similar interests. Meet people that just seem like cool people. Maintain contact with them. Just keep in touch. If you have any questions on how to do that, reach out to me. I'll help you with that. Follow up is something I've been trying to do a lot lately. I know of some ways to follow up. It's harder going backwards, if that makes sense. It's easier on the front end when you just meet them. It's easier to follow up that way when you first meet somebody than it is to try to rekindle an old relationship. So number 2, network. I'm going to pound it into your head. Network, network, network. Number 3, another big one, probably the biggest one, because it'll just impact you so much your entire life. I don't know if it'll impact you more than networking. Actually, yeah, it probably will impact you a lot more than networking. Save money. This is huge. Save money. A lot of people have this sort of title that they give college students. Oh, college students are broke. College students have money. I haven't found that to be that true, to be honest. I found that most college kids spend their money very poorly. And by poorly, what I mean is that most college kids, they get like grant money or loan money or whatever, or the parents give them money, and they just blow it on like drugs and alcohol, shitty food, parties, events, just stuff that doesn't really benefit them in the long run. Essentially just wasting money. And the sad part about it is that becomes a habit that I think transfers over into adulthood. I think a lot of adults do the exact same thing until there's either some huge trauma that comes in, like they have, and trauma I'm using a bit strongly, but for example, kids. When you have kids, you can't really afford to be super reckless with money because someone else is affected by it. But I find like a lot of people kind of fall into that habit, and it just lingers all through adulthood. They just have really bad finances. They don't really understand finances. They don't understand money. They don't save. They've never made that habit of saving money. They don't really understand credit. All that stuff is super important. The best time to do that is in college when it's easy. It's super easy to do it in college. The only problem is that no one does it in college because no one's taught to do it in college. Everyone says, oh, broke college student. And I think everyone sort of accepted that in college, you can be broke and you can not have money and it's okay. I'm going to say it's not okay. Save up money, invest your money, learn how to use your money more effectively. I know for me, there's plenty of times in college where I could have just not gone out for the weekend, and I know it's super hard. You're in college. Don't go out for a weekend. Don't go out for a day. God forbid you miss one weekend of going to the bar and having the exact same experience you'll have the other, 3 or 4 months this semester. God forbid. But I truly cannot emphasize how important it is to save money. Now, I want to sort of break this down a little bit more because it's one thing to just save money. I think it's more important to learn how to use your money effectively. So let's call this 3.1. I'm going to put like a little bullet here. Build credit. This video might get a little bit longer. I'm going to throw all kinds of massive value at you. Number one, build credit. If you're in college, build credit. Part of what makes your credit score is the length of your credit history. I think that's about 15% of what makes your credit score. It doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot, trust me. Start building your credit right now in college. If you're in college, if you're in high school, start building your credit. You're in an even better situation. Start building credit. How do we do this? Use your credit card. Open lines of credit. Use your credit card. Don't miss payments. Don't overspend. College students, when they have credit cards, they overspend and they get fucked. And that's when it becomes a disaster when they graduate. Don't overspend, don't miss payments. You do those two things, you'll be in a far better position than any adult out there. You'll be in a far better position for any financial decision you choose to make later in your life. You'll be far more eligible to buy a nice car. You'll be far more eligible to buy a nice house. You'll be far more eligible to start a business if you need to take out a loan to start a business, which you probably don't need to do. But if you have to do it, you'll actually be able to do it. So, get a credit card and use it. Now, some of you might be out there thinking, well, I don't have a credit card, so what do I do? I don't have a credit card. How exactly do I go about getting a credit card as a college student? I'm gonna tell you a quick story. One thing you can do is open what's called a secured credit card. I'm throwing all kinds of knowledge at you, so keep up. Open up a secured credit card. How do you do that? I had a buddy in college, his name was Joseph. Super smart dude. He didn't have credit. His parents didn't give him any credit. They wouldn't allow him to open credit with them as a cosigner. So he took it upon himself to figure out, how do I get credit? This is exactly what he did. He went to PNC. This works with, as far as I know, any bank. I would obviously ask, I would check, but I'm sure most banks will allow you to do this. He went to a bank. He said, I want to open up a credit card. He opened up what's called a secured credit card. He took, I think, about $200 or $300 cash, gave it to them as a down payment. They gave him a card. That card had a credit limit of $200 or $300. The limit was based on what he gave them. So he got a credit card. Now he has a line of credit. Over time, as long as he doesn't miss payments and as long as he doesn't overspend, they upgraded him from a secured credit card to a normal credit card and they increased his credit limit. So now he has an established history of credit. Do you understand that? He has an established history of credit in college. He did not need a cosigner. All he needed was money, cash. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, I'm a broke college student, drop that. You're not a broke college kid. People can save money. I've seen kids drop hundreds of dollars at the bar on the weekends. You can totally save $100, $200, $300 over the course of a whole year. Remember, you're in college for like 4 years minimum, most likely. Most of you. Some of you might be in weird programs that's like 2 or 3 years. Most of you are probably in college for about 4 years. It's not that difficult to save $300 over the course of 4 years. You can do this. You save the money, you get a credit card, hopefully do it as a freshman. Be smart about it, don't overspend. My personal suggestion, the moment you use your credit card, pay it off. That's it. Some credit cards, you can't do it immediately, so you might have to wait like a day or so for the amount to process. Once it processes, spend it. Set up notifications. It'll send you a notification, you spent X amount, pay it off immediately. Only spend what you have in your bank account. Only spend what you have in your bank account. That is key. That is where people make the mistake. They overspend, they don't have it in their bank account, then the interest accumulates, and that's how you get fucked. Don't do it. I'm giving you some solid knowledge right here. Trust me. If you're in college and you listen to this, it's going to help you out tremendously in the long run. Trust me on this one. So, you do all that, you're in a good position. You have credit. Credit is massive. No one teaches the importance of credit at all. Credit is huge. If you want to get a house, you need to have good credit. If you want to get a car, you need to have good credit. If you want to lease a car, you need to have good credit. You need to have good credit to do a lot of things in the real world post-college. Build up your credit now while it's easy, so you won't have to do it later on and make life more difficult for yourself. What else? As far as finances go too, while you're in college, invest. Trust me on this, invest. Now, I want to point out, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a real estate agent, but I've studied a fair amount of finance on my own time. I continue to study finance. To me, it's fascinating. Banking, money, all that stuff. I don't know, I just like it. I'm like a weird nerd for it. So this is not financial advice from like a financial advisor. I encourage you to speak to one. This is just sort of general financial advice from, let's say I'm your buddy who's just kind of giving you his perspectives, his 2 cents on the matter. Start investing money in college. You'll be so much better off in the long run. Trust me on this. The best way, in my opinion, there's a few simple ways to do it. If you want to be really lazy about it, I would go on your phone. There's an app called Acorns. Open up Acorns, make an account. Link your Acorns account to your debit card. Whenever you use your debit card, it'll take a little bit of money and invest it into Acorns. Even better than that, because I actually don't really recommend using your debit card too much. There's no real purpose in it. Like I said, use your credit card, leave your debit card at home. Once you use your credit card, just transfer the funds over to pay off your credit card. What I would actually suggest you do, make monthly payments from your checking account into your Acorns account. Does that make sense at all? So set it up automatically. So whenever, say for example, if you work a part-time job in college, or if your parents give you an allowance, or if you have like even loan money or grant money, bi-weekly or weekly or monthly, whatever is most comfortable for you, take that money, put it into an Acorns account. Over time, you're going to gain more money due to interest. And you'll be surprised. I'm trying to think. There's someone did the math. I saw a video, some guy did the math, and he was saying for most college students, if you just took the money that is given to you in the form of a loan to go to college and put it into a standard investing account, you would be a millionaire, I think, by the age of like 50 or 60. Like, you'd be a millionaire. I think it wouldn't even be like a millionaire, you'd be like a multi-millionaire. It's something insane. And I'm not going to get too deep into all the reasons why that is. I'm not going to get too deep into compound interest. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Or reach out to me, maybe in another video, I'll explain it more. But that would be the most basic thing you could do literally right now. Once you shut off this video, you can do that. Go on your app. If you have an Android, go to the Play Store, I think, for Android. If you have an iPhone, go to your app store. If there's a new phone that comes out by the time you're watching this, go to whatever that phone's app store or whatever it is, download Acorns, link it to your account, set up monthly or bi-weekly or weekly transfers. You'll be set. You won't have to even think about it. Don't check it. Don't get emotional about it. Don't look at the numbers. Don't worry about what the market's doing. Just put it in there, let it grow. I guarantee by the time you come back to it in like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you'll be very happy that you listened to me. Trust me on this. If you're more advanced and you have a lot more money, second thing I would recommend you do, open up a self-directed IRA. Open up a Roth IRA, a self-directed IRA. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're getting money into an account that grows, I'd highly recommend it. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. Some people might say, oh, why not 401k or something like that? Anything's better than nothing. I would suggest the Roth IRA. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it. The Roth IRA or the self-directed IRA will give you some benefits in the long run when it comes to buying a house. There's some tax benefits to it as well. I think it's a little bit better. The only problem with it is that usually it requires more money on the front end to open up one of these accounts. I think, for example, if you try to open up a Vanguard account, you might have to put down $1,000 up front to open up the account, and the $1,000 gets stored in the account. Save up money. If you can save up $300 for the secured credit card, you can save up an additional $700 for a Vanguard account. Remember, we're talking over the course of 4 years. Ideally, you should be doing this quicker. You should be doing this in your freshman and sophomore year. If you do that, you're going to be golden. You're going to honestly be in a very, very, very good financial position on all fronts. The credit's huge, and having excess cash in reserves is just massive. You'll be set. You won't have that much stress. Trust me on this. This is where most adults have their most stress. They just don't have money. They can't get money. They're worried about retirement when they get older. Do this, trust me. Third thing I would say, if you're in college, if you do those first two things, get credit and get a account set up. The third thing you can attempt to do, it's not vital that you do this, but you can do this, is find a way to make money in college that doesn't require an excessive amount of time. Now remember, I said earlier, don't worry too much about grades. You shouldn't be spending that much time studying on just dumb stuff, because it won't matter in the long run. Take the time you would be spending to study, find a way to make money. If I can go back in college, I would do this. Towards the end of college, I tried stuff with some success, but not a ton. If someone showed me this video as a freshman and I actually listened to it, who knows? I don't know. I could probably be so much further ahead right about now. Find a way to make money in college. Find a way that doesn't require a direct transfer of time for money. I think that's sort of, I'm not going to call it a trap, but I think that's sort of the issue that a lot of people have when they become employees. They work and they have to trade time for dollars. You want to find a way to not do that. You want to find a way to build something that makes you money without you having to physically do it all the time. Or at the very least, you want to find something that gives you more money for less time. I'm not going to say infinite ways to do this. There might be infinite ways. There's a lot of ways, I'll say that much. There's a lot of ways to do this. I know when I was in college, blogging was huge. There's a lot of college kids that blogged, and they made some money blogging. Blogging is very difficult to do. People make it sound a lot easier than it is. You don't just write articles and just get paid. A lot that goes into it, a lot of marketing, but it's something. Instagram, selling products. You find something, you can sell it, there we go. Now you've made money. You didn't have to necessarily spend a lot of time doing it, but you might make a lot of money doing it. Again, not easy to do. Not everyone can do it. I'm not saying these things as if you can just get up tomorrow and do it, but it's an option. Flipping stuff. I did a little bit of flipping in college. It's not super easy, but it's kind of fun, and you can make some decent money off it. I know some people who flip sort of low-priced items, like at what are they called? Like at thrift stores or yard sales, and they sell them on Amazon, or they sell them on eBay, or they sell them on Facebook Marketplace, and they make a lot of money. They make a high return. They buy it for $5, sell it for $100. I'm not saying that's the norm. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's an option. What I'm suggesting, find something you can do in college that makes you money in your free time, that doesn't require a ton of time, but could net you a lot of money. Remember, I said you're investing, and I said you're building credit. You take all that money, you don't blow it on partying, you don't blow it on dumb stuff. You put it back into those accounts. You put it back into a growth account, not a growth account from a bank, a growth account from an actual investment account. You use it to build credit. You do those things, you're solid. Because the thing is, when you build credit, you can use your credit to make more money. Higher credit score. There's a lot of things you can do with credit. It's crazy. I'm not talking about any of those in this video because it's gonna get way too complicated. And if the other parts were already overcomplicated, this other things that you can do is gonna just go over your head. I'm not gonna get into it. But money helps significantly. Do that in college, you'll be all set. So those are my 3 tips. This video is a lot longer than I anticipated, but I hope it helped. Number 1, don't worry about grades. They're bullshit. They don't help. You're not going to significantly impact or improve your life by having a 4.0 GPA. No one cares. Number 2, network. People are currency. People are currency. People are currency. Meet more people. I think you'll get a lot further ahead. I wish I had done that in college. I'm trying to do it now more. If I had done it in college, I'd be a lot further ahead. Number 3, find a way to make money in college. You do this, you'll be all set for life. Trust me on this. Share the video, like the video, comment if you agree, comment if you disagree. I'm done. Peace out.